Christian worldview, greed would be wanting something more than what's been provided for you, wanting more than you have in a way that would indicate that you're not content with what you have.
Yeah, the Bible would declare or define greed as anything that is an overwhelming desire for something. So in other words, taking something good and it overwhelms everything else. And it can look in many different ways. It can be an overwhelming desire for money, an overwhelming desire for status or fame or sex or just approval in your company. It can have many faces, but at the end of the day, it's a desire that has gone from being what it should be to being overwhelming, and it overwhelms all of the good things in your life.
Greed is definitely considered a sin in the Bible. Striving to succeed or doing the things that you need to do to provide for your family or to accomplish your purposes and your goals, that's not sinful, but greed would be considered a sin.
Well, again, in the Bible calls greed sin, and the punishment for any sin, regardless of what it is death. That's not just a physical death that we would die at the end of our lives as we breathe our last breath, but it's also eternal separation, a spiritual death, a separation from God for all eternity. Hell is the punishment.
The Bible is replete with mentions of greed and the sin and the destruction that comes from greed. You'll find it in many, many books of the Bible. But for instance, 1 Timothy chapter 6 mentions that money is the root of all evil. You've got scriptures in Proverbs that talk about greed quite a bit. Greed, that a greedy man stirs up strife, but one who trusts in the Lord will be enriched. 1 Corinthians 6 talks about it as well. Luke 12 says, take care to be on your guard against all covetousness, and that's that wanting what someone else has, that you're not going to find joy and happiness in that. 1 John, Matthew 6, no one can serve two masters. You know, you'll either love one and hate the other. If you love money, you can't love God at the same time. You can't have two things that control you and master you. You have to be obedient to one.
Many times people want to ask me, what's the punishment for this sin or punishment for that sin? And really what I think they're often asking is, what's it going to cost me if I do this? Like, is it really that bad? Can I endure that cost? And the reality is it's going to cost you everything. Not just your life now, but eventually your eternal life from God. And even the riches you would have had you been with God.